Yes, Rick.
Going back to the, out of the adults for a minute, going back to the young children demographic, something that wasn't mentioned was when a child is afraid of you, it's really important that you try to, you want to kind of alleviate their fear just a little bit. And like the best thing that I found you can do is if they're scared of you and they're crying or whatever, act like you're scared of them. Hide behind one of your handlers, cover your eyes, be like this. And it just kind of helps remove that fear, and they realize, oh, they're not out to get me. They're actually just as scared as I am. Doesn't necessarily mean you can go up and approach them afterwards, but it will usually get them to stop crying.
You got it, Rick. And actually, that was going to be our next demonstration. We're very close to it. So you just touched on a very perfect subject. Before I get into that, well, actually, we're on it. So let's do it. So come on up, Niko. So now, any of you who haven't done this in public, this is actually very key. Who wants to be the kid? All right, yes. What's your name?
I'm Faye.
Faye?
Yeah.
Okay, Faye, well, thank you for volunteering. So here's Niko, and he's up here, and you are, let's say you're a 6-year-old kid. You're a 6-year-old girl. And you are amazed by this character at first.
Alright.
Now, Niko, this is actually going to tie very well in now that you're in your knees perfect like that, in that height, it actually works out. Niko, can you walk straight ahead and tell me how much of the ground, how much of her you see when you're walking? Can you see her right now? So if you were to keep walking like this, what's going to happen? All right. For those of you who haven't ever experienced that, it will happen to you.
I've done this.
Yeah. Sorry.
I face planted on someone at a convention. They were sitting on the floor, and I just went
Oh, geez. At a convention?
Yeah, and I landed on top of it. It was an anime convention.
Okay. Yeah, I've trampled a kid, I admit it. It's happened to all of us.
I've tripped over several people today, or yesterday and today here.
There you go. So this is king on when you're dealing with kids in particular. Make absolutely sure your spotters know that you can't. So, I mean, the first thing I know, and I know I learned this early on when I started doing public stuff, the first thing Niko's going to do, and he's going to take a step, he's going to go like this. Right? And then take a couple steps, and then so if you could be back in that position again. So he can't see her yet, he's gonna look, and then he sees her, and then at that point probably get down, try for a high five, something like that. There you go. Okay, perfect. No. So be scared. So let's say you're scared. So now here's the same kid, but she's nervous. She's scared of Niko. So just so she's shying away. She's like, oh, you can tell. She's, oh, I'm not sure about this. Pulling away. You can see the body posture. She's, maybe looking towards her mom or something like that. Wondering. And Niko, and you see what he's doing. He's made himself as small as he can. He's a tiny, tiny little thing. He's hiding his face. He's hiding his eyes. Nobody, like, the kid no longer is threatened, theoretically, because... the table there, Niko. I think the table scared you, but... anyway, so, make yourself as small as you can, and as Red Claw said, hiding your eyes, averting your eyes, anything you can do to make yourself look less intimidating by not being overt. Remember, reaching out to them is scary, because you're trying to reach out to them. So you can't do that. Even a high five, sometimes people are like this. But in time, if you do that and you kind of just slowly reintroduce, so how would you do that? So you're hiding yourself. How would you reintroduce yourself to her? Like, just hiding, and see how he's kind of looking, and he's waving from a distance. Now he's looking a bit cute to her. He's trying to be... See? He's wondering. There you go. See? So knowing how to do that is actually key, because I hate to say it, it's almost a public service we're doing in that regard, because that kid, if you walked away from that kid or you went like this, that kid will be permanently scared of mascots for the rest of their lives. And that's why it's so common, because there are so many performers who don't take the extra effort to try and introduce them and bring them into the character performance so that they understand that there is no threat. This isn't something I have to be nervous about. Parents are the other thing. Parents are sometimes the worst causes of kids being scared of mascots, because maybe they're nervous, maybe they don't like it. It's just like dogs. I don't know how many of you agree with this school of thought, but typically speaking, if the parents are scared of dogs, the kids are scared of dogs, because they'll pull them away. Oh, that dog will hurt you, be careful. It's like, no, that isn't how it works. And I've seen people do the same thing, like try and glue it.
Relating back to the whole parents reinforcing the kids' fears,
yes.
I've seen something as terrible as a kid being on the ground, walking with mom, holding the hand, and then they're like, oh look, let's take a picture, go hug him, and then the kid's like, no, I'm scared, but then the parent picks them up and forcibly takes them over to me.
That
hate that.
is absolutely a perfect example of where you have to be as absolutely afraid of that situation as you can as a performer. Because, and I mean afraid in terms of your character. I mean, Niko, and you did a perfect job of going under the table and going overtly, I want to be away from this as much as I can. Like, run away from people that do that. Seriously, like turn around, make sure your path is clear, and move away from them. Because that is not the best situation at all. If they keep advancing, have your spotters be aware of that situation. Try to have them intercept. It's like, actually, I think he's going to go over here, or something like that. Make it politically correct if you can. If they can't do anything, well, just make the best of it. Sometimes you just have to kind of go with it and just whatever you can do. So, yes, good point.
And I was saying, a lot of times the parents will try to force you to hold the kid for a photo. That happens so much in public. And you
Yes.
have to never ever take the kid. You can't take responsibility. Even if you have a good grip on your paws and you think you can do it, you never know. So
Ever,
yeah.
never, ever.
Never.
Santa Claus and Easter Bunny performers have insurance for that. Okay, they literally do. They have insurance in case the kid falls and breaks its neck and becomes paralyzed. Okay, because it's happened. It's scary as crap to think of going out and entertaining people could lead to like a lawsuit that might cost you your income for the next 20 years. I mean, don't do it. Just don't. It's not worth it. So yes, thank you. Very good point. On this note of kids being scared and so on, I just thought of this because I have this as my background. It's my favorite picture of my new character, Ioko. This was shortly after I got him. That's me. Yes. Sorry guys, I don't have a very big screen on this, but it's actually the background. Sorry about the icons, but that's my background. This kid right here, I'm going to point out, this is at a science fiction convention, not a furry convention, nothing like that, science fiction. And it's that kid, the little kid in the front, spent an hour being scared of me, to the point of like hiding behind things, crying at one point. That picture was the first time she'd come up, and you see the smile on her face? That's what dedication takes. That's what dedication happens. That's what you can create by being out there and being aware of those situations. So that's why I love that picture so much, because I think of that kid, and she was with me for an hour after that playing games, and it was so cool. It was like I won. It was like, yay! That's a good point. As an example, private gatherings are a risky one. That's another one that I try to stay away from. You're always taking a very large chance there because they have a set idea of what they're doing with the day. If you come in and sort of interrupt that, you can create a lot of animosity. You might get some people very aggressive towards you. You never know. You might be able to work yourself.
Yeah, I think in that situation, it would be all right if you have someone from that party saying, "Oh, come on over here and entertain us." If they want you there, that's all right.
Yeah, like go bouncing by, just the whole like.
Try to get
something like that. And I mean, if someone goes, "Hey," and then so that's you're in. I mean, if they're like, I mean, obviously you're not going to go. I'm that thing you didn't want to see a second ago. So yes.
That happened to me.
Did it?
I was with a group of friends, and we decided on the last day of school we were all going to go and put on costumes and just wander around. So they were all in anime costumes, and I was in a partial suit.
Right.
And we went to a public park, and a 5-year-old girl was having her birthday party there. And I didn't realize it until this little girl comes running up to me and goes, "I just turned 5. Are you my present?" I literally couldn't leave the park for an hour. I'm on the merry-go-round with them. I've got a pack of about 10 5-year-olds just following me around.
That is cute. And see, that's why I personally don't believe guerrilla fursuiting is that bad, as to use the term, because of that kind of thing happening. So yeah, it's not impossible to answer your question, but just be very careful. That's all. I mean, again, you gotta be aware of how people are reacting. Again, put yourself in their shoes. If they look like they're uncomfortable, they probably are, and don't take the chance. Okay? Remember how you look. Remember what you are. You are a giant animal thing in the middle of, Metropolis or wherever you are. So you have to remember that you're pretty weird. You are doing this. You are not doing this to be, normal. You're doing this to be that different, strange thing that is going to make everyone talk for the next week. Let's say, for example, Niko's in the park. I'm just going to call him that. Niko's in the park, and he's walking along, and he's got his spotter beside him, and his spotter's doing a good job for him. And a kid runs up out of nowhere, and just walk ahead, runs up out of nowhere and goes, "I got your tail! I got your tail! I got your tail!"
That has happened to me.
Yes. And you see what Niko just did there?
It's happened to me.
Now the first thing he did was not turn around. The first thing he did was grab his tail and make sure it's not going to rip out of the back of his costume, first of all. The next thing he's doing is he's protecting it. That's both good and bad, if I can give feedback to Niko here, because I've actually found if you actually make an overt effort to protect your tail, it now becomes a game. Now the kid will want that tail even more now that you've gone and protected it. So there's two sides to it. You can do that, and at a fandom thing, that's perfect. And with certain age groups, that would work as well. But for a kid, I've found might not be the best idea. And actually, I've found if you do that again, Niko, and I grab your tail, the first thing I would do is grab the base of the tail and make sure that I can't grab it, and just go on to the next person and be waving at them and paying absolutely no attention to the fact that I've got his tail. Because now it's not entertaining. Now it's like, well, geez, I don't want that now. It's like, oh, I want a high five from you, you know, and then you know, be all happy that you're in front of them, that kid's now in front of you and no longer causing a menace to you. This is also where the spotters come in. So that's my opinion. Again, everyone performs differently. That will happen. Be ready to lose body parts. I mean that. I mean that. Because you'll get another person, and this happens all the time. You'll get some random kid that will come up and have, you know, ketchup smeared all over their hands, and you won't see it, and they'll be like, "Hi." You'll notice that most of the costume groups actually, and I don't know if you guys do, I can't remember, but we wear jerseys. And we wear jerseys not just because it makes us look official, it also protects us. And I can't tell you how many times I've gotten smears of face paint and everything else all over here, and it hasn't touched my bodysuit. So you don't go in public unless you're willing to risk your suit. Don't bring your work of art out there. It's not going to come away the way it looks now. If you have a very light colored fursuit, like I hate to say it, like you Voltage, not sure what color your feet are.
White.
Yeah. That's, I know what that's like. Because Thumper, if you guys know Thumper, he's part of our group too. He will only bring his white rabbit out in very specific events. Sorry, you've been very patient, right, Paul? Yes.
Yeah, I was just back to tail pullers. One of the most recent events we did, I had an issue where there was a group of 3 kids that were all grabbing my tail and were literally they were literally pulling me backwards. I couldn't walk away from them because they were dragging me. What I ended up doing is I grabbed the base of my tail to protect the tail, and I was like kind of tugging. I was like, I was trying to go, no, don't do that. Really, at that point, there was nothing I could do. I couldn't get away. I wasn't about to slap them off me. So the best I could do, unfortunately, none of the handlers with us were paying any attention to me. So I looked
Which happens.
So I looked over to the handler, one of the handler who was close to me. I was a bit like, help me. And he kind of, they let go for a second. He grabbed my tail and just kind of walked behind me with it until we got out of that area.
Yeah, spotters are almost like police. Kids will actually run from them. I've seen it. Like they'll you know, oh, he's here now. Okay, I can't do that anymore.
I think a lot of the times, especially when you're doing guerrilla fursuiting, spotters have a tendency to get into the moment, and they just are there to have fun, and they forget that they're there to protect you.
Yep.
So I think it's really, really, really important that you make sure your spotters are there to keep you safe.
Absolutely, that is the paramount thing. I think we're just about to wrap up, guys. We're about out of time here. But Kijani, do you have anything else to add on this?
Not really. Oh, I have one thing. If it's just a single kid pulling your tail, if you can get them away and just kind of by not making by not actually speaking, but pretending that hurt, you know, because the kid, just you the face of,
you know, and like lands and like maybe even drop down. I found actually.
Yeah, because if you know, kids don't want to hurt animals.
They might though. They might though. They might though. Some of the preteens will do it intentionally. I had she had to be 80. She couldn't have been less than that. I was fursuiting during the Olympics in the middle of downtown, and this lady who obviously was not native to Vancouver, very Asian descent, obviously didn't speak English because we were telling her to do things and she was not paying attention or not listening, would come up, and I was wearing my husky tail, and of course it's sticking right out there, and she was grabbing it, and I mean hard, like to the point I was worried she was going to rip it, and going hee hee, like following me. She'd grab it, rip, hee hee, like what the heck, and then I had to walk 5 feet, rip, and she kept doing it for an entire block. And this 80-year-old woman, she thought it was the hilarious thing ever. She actually is missing fur now because of that incident. Nothing we could do, nothing, because I mean, other than damaging property, I mean, she didn't speak English, obviously, so you're going to get every situation, so just be aware of it. So. Anyways, yes?